Hello there, Albie-Wan here. Um, yeah, I wanted to stream something this morning, but I'm streaming something that's kind of low effort. I'm doing some Powerwash Simulator um, for a couple of reasons. Well, mainly for one reason, but a couple of different reasons regarding that reason. One, I was up till about 2:30 last night because I'm following the Nurburgring 24 hours race. And I was absolutely hooked until 2:30, and it's like I have to get some sleep now. So I've not had a lot of sleep. Um, and another, because like I say, yeah, like I say, I'm streaming currently for the mental health charity Mind in the UK, who help people with mental health problems and whatever. Um, I'm kind of watching the Nurburgring 24 hours because I'm supporting the car which has got Jimmy Broadbent in it. Car number 150, BMW, 8T. I'm going to get the actual full description of the actual class that they're in. Um, they're basically battling. They're in like an absolute pitch battle with this McLaren that's in first place. They're driving a BMW and they're in like a pitch battle with this McLaren, which was miles ahead in the early stints of the race. And then overnight, they absolutely hammered it and took back the lead. Now the sun's come back up. It looks like it's evened out again, and possibly McLaren may have a benefit again. SP8T is the class, yeah, that they're running in the ADAC Ravenol 24 Hours of Nurburgring, and they're currently leading, but I think are they slightly off on the pit stops? I can't remember where does it say how many pit stops they got? So yeah, they both had 11 pit stops, and they're leading, but I think the McLaren is starting to claw back a little bit of time now. But yeah, the car is basically Jimmy Broadbent, Steve Brown, who's also known as Super GT on YouTube. They're both right on the cusp of like 1 million subscribers as well. It's got Misha Sharudan, who's another YouTuber who is kind of like a taxi driver for the Nurburgring, where people bring in their souped up uh, road cars basically, and he then drives them around the Nordschleife at super speed and scares the shit out of someone. Well, actually, no, most of them are actually fine with it, but yeah, he's like absolutely hoons it around. He's in the car at the moment. I'm basically sort of going to be looking over that way a lot because I've got their live stream on the TV there, so I'm watching their car's perspective there and trying to like follow all the chat that they've got going on there. Um, you can also like follow it on the actual if you just type into YouTube Nurburgring 24 hours, it'll come up with the official channel, which will have I believe it's got British and German commentary. So I'm trying to like keep track of that, but I wanted to like do something to stream, and like I say, this I can sort of at least focus half of my attention across over there, and not have to worry about like being shot at or sunk or anything like that. Anyway, I'm gonna go into free play. I'm gonna choose one of my favourite maps because this is a really nice. This one really sort of settles my brain quite nicely. But I will put some music on, so there's something to sort of listen to in the background. Continue. Music on. Just going to check that's coming through because I am currently streaming on the playing on the second laptop, watching through the Xbox and streaming to the yeah. So the music's coming through. Cool. Right. So what we've got on. Rotate. There we are. Go with the red first, I think. the side. Ooh. There's a car on the side of the road, looks like it's in a bit bad way. Yikes. Yeah, excuse me if I do like a bit of amateur commentary on the race as well. Yeah, basically, whereas in most motorsport these days you'd get like a safety car if there was an accident, because of the size of the Nordschleife, if they did a safety car, it would probably take them about half an hour to actually pick up all the cars that are circulating, because there's 124 cars still running, and there are like about 130 odd that started. It would take so long to sort everything out, but they just close off. They don't close off a certain area, but they put yellow flags in certain areas, and they restrict certain areas to 120 kilometers per hour and others to 60. And if you're in a 60 zone, you basically have like have a special driver's license just to sort of race around the Nordschleife, and you lose your license basically if you disobey their rules, because they are very strict about that. But yeah, they have like recovery vehicles on the circuit, but I believe they try to keep the recovery vehicles to the right hand side, so it's passing on the left, unless of course the accident's on the left, in which case they cordon off that particular area and just do a 60 mile an hour zone. And yeah, it's incredible that it works, because you see the discipline in like things like Formula 1, where you have like yellow flags and some drivers slow down and some drivers don't really want to slow down, but they have very strict rules on here. And yeah, it's impressive that it works. When you've got so many cars on the circuit, anyone that's caught breaking speed limits, they can lose their license. They can get like massive time penalties for their team. Excuse me, Heavey was acting up this morning. Yeah, it's really bizarre. It's like, seeing like racing drivers like racing and then it's like suddenly slowing down and having like massive recovery trucks off the side of the circuit here. Because it's something you wouldn't see in Formula 1 anymore. Because after the tragedy a few years back of Jules Bianchi, where there was like some sort of like forklift thing that was in the gravel trap repairing or picking up a vehicle, and a lot of safety improvements were made after that, and I'm really glad of it, because I know some people watch motorsport for the accidents. I watch it just to admire the skill of the drivers, and like I say, it can be dramatic, like say seeing an accident, don't get me wrong, it's just a case of that's not what I want to see. But yeah, going into the dark hours last night, Mr. Broadbent was behind the wheel, and he was chasing down this McLaren that had been about 20 seconds a lap faster at times than anything else in the class. And yeah, just as Jimmy was like coming up to his pit stop, he overtook the car to actually take the lead of the class right as he was about 100 meters probably from the pit lane. Comes in the pit, and of course whereas a Formula 1 pit stop is about 2 seconds these days, you're looking at over 3 minutes here. There are regulations. It doesn't necessarily take that long to actually service the car. It's just there are regulations as to you have to like serve a certain amount of time in the pit per lap out on the circuit. So if you do like an 8 lap stint, which a lot of them are doing 8 lap stints, you have to spend 3 minutes something in the pit lane. 3 minutes 17, I think someone said. So if you have a short pit stop, if your pit stop's too short, you get penalised for that. And the next time you come in, you have to serve a penalty before moving on to your pit box. But he literally took the lead, and then Steve Brown, Super GT, took over after that. He double stinted. He may have done more, because I had to go to bed at one point after that. But he did 2 stints, which are basically about an hour a time, and the lap times he was getting. Another nasty accent. Like I said, did at least 2 stints back to back, and whereas the previous best of the team had been like a 9-minute 4, I think it was. Suddenly he was sub 9 minutes. And this is like in pitch black conditions, driving in the middle of the night with just using headlights because there's no floodlights around the entire circuit because it's about 20 mile length in the circuit. It was insane the lap time. He was just spent so much time on the McLaren because their pit stops are slightly offset. When the BMW pits, the McLaren took the lead, and then they were continuing to close that lead, and then the McLaren did, and they was like extending the lead. They're still, I think, technically in the lead at the moment, but now that the sun's coming up and the temperatures rising, and I think possibly their professional drivers are actually getting back in the seat. The gap is seesawing a bit more than it was last night because they were literally they were on it. They were really giving it the full beam, and it was impressive to watch. Given that both Jimmy Broadbent and Super GT are known as like sim racing drivers, they are definitely now official professional racing drivers because driving in pitch black conditions to that standard, it's not something I'd ever actually want to do, but they're absolutely crushing it. Misha Sheridan, I'm not sure if he did like a night stint because, like I say, it was about how much I literally had to sort of get some sleep. He was in the seat when I woke up, and still sort of around at the moment. But their other driver is Manuel Metzger, who's a former, I think he's a Nurburgring 24-hour winner. It's either Nurburgring 24-hour winner or NLS Nurburgring Landstrecke series winner. I think he's a 24-hour winner. He's like a professional racing driver, so he's their benchmark, and they've been getting ever closer to him. He's really fast and consistent, and he's an absolutely perfect teammate for them because they've learned so much from him. I mean, they knew the actual layout of the circuit because all of them have obviously been either with Misha, he's been like driving the circuit physically in a variety of cars. So like I say, he sort of picked up like one car and then sort of, at the end he was like a Clio to a maybe like Lamborghini he'll drive around there, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people pass on to him, so pass the keys to him to actually drive. He'll drive their cars while they're sat in the passenger seat right alongside him. Both the sim racing boys have done lap after lap of it in various games, simulation games and things like that, and the like. So they know the layout of the circuit, but obviously the difference between sort of knowing the path and walking the path, as Morpheus would say, paraphrasing. Because I'd imagine, like I say, a lot of the bumps, you don't feel the bumps when you're doing sim racing, or at least not to the accurate level that you would do in real life, of course. Because these games do a fantastic job of trying to sort of simulate things these days, but they're never going to get it 100% because even with laser scanning, a pothole might be there one year, it might disappear the next. It's a case of actually feeling it for yourself. I would not want to go around the carousel. Is that the same accent? cars on the track. It's amazing how few there were overnight. I mean, there were like there were like quite a few Code 60s around the circuit, which is the 60 km per hour sections. But there seems to be more going on now. When I plugged back in, having woken up this morning, the sun was really low in the sky, and they were driving directly into like blinding light, and there were a few near misses. Even then, the sun's a little bit higher now, so it's surprising that so many are having accidents now, rather than like at the motor visibility. But yeah, it's probably a bit of tiredness creeping in, possibly some mechanical problems like tires loading and things like that. But and of course, because it's such a long circuit, one car can be massively disadvantaged over the car that's following them in second place, for example. If they hit a Code 60 and it clears by the time the other car gets there, or vice versa, there's a lot of seesawing because of those particular problems. It's the same thing in Formula 1, where, like, say, one car may have a yellow flag and have to slow down, but it might be clear by the time another car comes around. Which is just emphasised because obviously the sections are so much longer in this particular race. But the fact that these cars are still this close together after what time is it? Jesus Christ, trying to do some maths. That's 16 hours of racing. Absolutely insane, because they're still going till 4 PM. 4 PM local time, but it's 3 PM in the UK, I think. So it may be, my brain doing maths at this time in the morning. Yeah, if you're in the UK, it's 3 PM that the race finishes. And I think even some of the top classes, because they're not in the top class, they're in the GT4 class, and it's ST8T or so. Yeah. ST8. And Nishi's coming into the pits. So the McLaren will probably now resume the lead of the class until they pick in a few laps time. I don't know if the McLaren struggling to do 8 laps a time, because they had a couple of stints overnight where I think they only did like 7, which is I think one of the things that helps the guys catch up a bit. Very much manhandle the car around the position when they're in this series, because there are so many cars in such a small pit lane. They sort of tilt you sideways rather than you like a Formula 1 pit stop where you're like straight on. And because the cars are in there for so long as well, and there's a lot of sharing as well. Amazing that they managed to actually accommodate all of these cars in this pit lane, given, like I say, that there's over 130 cars that started, and they could all potentially be sort of serviced in the pit lane. I don't know if it would actually work if they were all in there together, but yeah, last night before I went to bed, there was talk amongst the commentators on the main stream about possibly like some late thunderstorms, maybe hail, and that will cause absolute chaos if that comes about, because everyone then will be wanting the pits at the same time. I wouldn't envy any of the teams or pit crews at that point, trying to sort of get that sorted. I can imagine there being queues for pit garages and whatever. So because I'm on the PC, I'm being a little bit extra attentive on the borders on the colours here. because there's a little bit more precision on the with the mouse than you get with a controller. I'm not too worried about the outer like part here, but I like to sort of colour by numbers, or colour by power washer. Power wash by colours. That would be more accurate description. Yeah, of course. But yeah, like I said, sort of is that Mr. Broadband in the car? Yeah, Mr. Broadband's back in the car. Like I said, he was running really quick last night, but Steve, the lap times that Steve was pulling off were absolutely insane. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Steve's necessarily the faster of the drivers, because Manny technically should be the faster of the driver, but if you go through like an 8-lap stint and every one of your laps is affected in some way by like 120 or a 60-mile-an-hour zone, you're not going to get the full lap time out of the car. Steve had a good few laps where he was something like, 859s, 857s, and it was impressive to watch someone literally going that hard in the car. Actually, I think his fastest was like an 847. I think I've seen that the fastest was 847, and I don't know if that was Steve or if Manny had like a stint in the car, but Steve was doing lots of 859s, 857s, and what have you. So he may have done the 47. I don't know if it was completely clear. But you're always like you're always being hampered by traffic at the best of times, because there are so many cars out there. And I think there's about 23 different classes of car out there. So there's like the really fast GT3s, and really sort of souped up sort of cars out there, and then you've got the Dacia Logan, which is a much beloved car amongst the MLS and M24 community. Basically, a Dacia Logan with a slightly modified engine, but it is by far the slowest car out there. But when I face them, they don't hold people up too much. They sort of do a fantastic job of giving people space. But it was kind of like the little mascot car, and they had some real problems last night where they had clutch problems. I think it was where the clutch completely went, or was something like that. There were mixed reports, but I think it was the clutch that went, and they had to sort of take the car in, and everyone was like worried that it wasn't going to come back out. But it's out there, they fixed it, it's back out. I think someone may have said they did a full engine swap. I'm not entirely sure if that was the case, or if that's even possible in that sort of length of time. But it's surviving, this car is surviving, it's out there. Sometimes it takes better road for a bit here, do this side. And yeah, everyone on the chat, both on Jim's stream and on the main feed, Dacia. So it comes up on screen, whether it's like the actual car being shown, or it being passed by one of the other cars that they're on board with. Oh no, someone just put Dacia in chat. Oh no, the Dacia's not in trouble. Not now. Oh no, if I just cursed it. I just jinxed poor Dacia. Poor Dacia, someone just posted poor Dacia. Oh god, please say it wasn't in the wall there. R.I.P. Dacia. Okay, go on. Shit. Shit. That's my fault. My bad. Everyone's keeping saying Franz Herbert in this race, because that's the alias that Max Verstappen was using when he turned up at one of the MLS series practice sessions about a month or so back. He didn't take part in the race, but he was Max Verstappen was basically there under an assumed alias driving a Ferrari around the circuit to sort of get his eye in a bit. So presumably he could be trying some endurance racing at some point, which would be interesting to see. Some people are trying to downplay that and say that they're trying to downplay the lap time and say, oh, he was in a car with the engine turned up or something like that. But it's like, no one's going to know until he's actually there in an official event. But he's put in some pretty quick times, but we're not shocked by that because, as I say, he's also quite heavily into sim racing. So he will have, had some good knowledge of the actual layout of the corners of the circuit. And that's, that's a good start point, to actually at least know the layout. But there's over 100, there are mixed reports as to how many corners there actually are, but there's well over 100 corners on the circuit. And I know that when I've played it on Forza, trying to stay within the lines even for a single lap is a challenge. The fact that these guys are doing it, like 24 hours, absolutely crazy. Getting a bit lax with the going over the lines, unfortunately. Yeah, this is my full-on OCD stream. I mean, obviously, if I did actually have full-on OCD, that would be driving me insane right now. So I can cope with that. I can live with that. But I think it's probably more like autism rather than OCD that I have. I don't think I have OCD because OCD would be, from what I understand, OCD is completely crippling, where it's like you literally cannot step on a crack on the pavement, for example, if you're that ill. Okay. So reading batteries coming and that here. Junior is fast. He wouldn't have done the complete lap yet, so I won't say check up on the lap times yet. We'll see how it goes a couple of laps in. But given how many double yellows and code 6s there are around the circuit, the lap time won't be representative of their full pace currently. The Jammy Broad Bambles is doing bloody well. And they're doing well in the overall series. This isn't part. This race is not part of the NLS Championships, but many of the same people who compete in that will be here because this is a prestigious event. It's not a championship event. You're not getting points for it, but this is a prestigious 24-hour race event. Whereas the others are usually like 4 hours or 6 hours throughout the year. The race was just a couple of weeks ago. And the last couple of weekends has been down to qualifying for this. Terrifying when you see the faster cars go past them, you just literally cut straight past them and they're gone in a second, and it's like, it must be terrifying for the Dacia Logan because literally everything is faster than them. I'm going to have to have a look in a bit and see if there was something on the main feed about, or the main stream about what happened to it, because chances are it's going to be someone that's like ploughing in the back of them. Someone either who's like a bit impatient, or they're unsighted, or they've caught it at the wrong time and they've misjudged the closing speed. I mean, I'm not saying the Dacia's necessarily. I'm not saying they would necessarily be 100% not at fault, because sometimes they can be quite a little bit hesitant in which way they go when they're being passed. But they've probably got the most experience of having cars behind them. Cars on the straight, is that? Must be sort of probably broken down rather than actually crashed, because you'd have a challenge having a big crash on the straight unless your tyre pops or something like that. So yeah, very start of the long straight, the Dottinger Hoya, I think they call it. But yeah, there's something like at the very start of the straight there, so look at it, probably like a mechanical failure where they pulled off the side of the circuit rather than actually crashing there. Crashing the straight line is a special skill. Some of us managed to achieve. I've played a bit of Cedric Course where I reinstalled that on the Xbox a couple of days ago. I Cedric Course with Bjorn on there as well, but a separate course there. And I thought, I'm going to have a go in the Alfa Romeo touring car, because I love that car, and I love the sound of that car. And when I played it on there before, it was quite fun to drive. I don't know what it was, but it's supposed to be like a four-wheel drive touring car, and somehow, when you put the power down, I mean, that car is supposed to have understeer because it's four-wheel drive. Somehow it felt like it was like a rear-wheel drive with stupid amounts of power, and it was like trying to spin up on every time you put the power down, and it's like, I don't remember it doing that before when I played the game. But yeah, maybe I've not got traction control on or something. Maybe I've turned something off that I had on before. But yeah, it was really kind of tricky. But that car definitely was spinning in a straight line, because even in like third or fourth gear, you put the power down and it was just like. I don't know how realistic that was, but you know, probably not very from the. But yeah, that may have been like, you know, one of the perils of playing on controller rather than actually having pedals and wheels. Yeah. I'm gonna get one. I think 1 minute behind, but they'll be pitting very shortly. And as I said, it's like it's a set amount of time you have to stay in the pit per lap you've been out on the circuit since the last pit stop. So if they do 8 laps, they'll have to stay in there for 3 minutes plus for their pit stop. So, like I say, it's going to be interesting because there's like quite a way to go yet in the race. It'll be interesting to see how the strategies pan out as to who is going to be best fitted to get to the end with fewer stops. I think when they're on the same amount of stops, the BMW of Broadbent and Co are generally ahead. They've they pitted a little while, a few laps ago with Jimmy taking over, and I think that's an extra stop over the. Yeah, they stopped 12 times. Unless that's not fully updated yet. So the McLaren might be ahead on genuine pace now, but I think we've got, I've been mispronouncing, but I think it's Door, D-O with the umlaut on the top, and double R. I think that's probably Door, but I don't know exactly how the pronunciation is. They're currently behind the wheel, and I think they might be one of their professional or one of their faster riders, because they were in a lot in the early stints yesterday, and yeah, they're currently hooning it. What was their lap times? Both the last lap times were really slow because there's so many yellows around, but Jimmy was like a second behind, second slower on the last lap. But the lap times were, actually no, sorry, ignore that. I'm looking at the overall gaps. That's ridiculous, that was stupid. The last lap was like 9:48 from the McLaren and 13:05 from the BMW, which is including their pit stop. So when they go across the line again, we'll get a representative estimate of obviously how much time one has lost or gained over the other. But just like I say, it's about finding these slow zones. And of course, because there's no passing in the slow zones, if you're in like a 60, a code 60, and the car you're behind is doing 40 or 50, you have to stay behind them at that speed. So if people aren't like going at exactly the limit that you're allowed to do in those zones, you can lose even more time. And I know a lot of drivers yesterday were like getting frustrated at, you know, doing 60s and 120s because the car in front hadn't slowed down too much, or, you know, hadn't sped up at the right point. Yeah, there was one driver during the qualifying that I don't think they actually got their license taken away, but they were right at the cusp of it, I think. Because they were reading in their team at the start at the back of the queue from where they would have qualified, because qualified basically sort of disallowed, but they were, I believe, allowed to race. I can't remember the name. A lot of what I've heard about that is basically stuff I've just like read in the chat when people like posting stuff up. But normally, like I say, that person would have their license taken away, because this time last year, well, this race last year, Steve Brown, who's Super GT on YouTube, was going to be taking part in the 24 hours with the same team that he's with today, and I think it was in the dark when they were qualifying, or in practice maybe, he missed some yellow flags and sped through the 60, one of the 60 zones. I think he was doing about 120, or maybe just shy of that, I can't remember, but he was quite heavily speeding through one of the 60 zones because he had missed the yellow flag marker. They took away his license and he wasn't allowed to race, and it was 3 of them racing in last year's 24-hour race rather than like 4 of them. As it turns out, that wasn't such a handicap, because last year's Nurburgring 24-hour race was a Nurburgring 7.5-hour race, because it was red flag for most of it, because the circuit was covered in fog from much of the evening into the night and through much of the following day, and they got back on track right at the very end, but they stopped it an hour short because they were circulating behind a pace car with fog, and they never actually got racing again, I don't think. And yeah, the 150 team were classified as second place, but under racing conditions they would very likely have actually been able to pass and win that, but you know, ifs, whats and maybes. Lots of ifs, whats and maybes, aren't there? It was a shame that they never actually had the chance to show that they were capable of actually winning that. But then again, I'm not sure they would have wanted to win the 24-hour race as a 7-hour race. I'm sure they would much prefer, I know they would much prefer to sort of have like a full 24-hour race where they win it, which is what they're getting this year. Although even this year there was a race for about an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours yesterday, and then there was a red flag, and the red flag was because of a power outage in the pit lane. I've heard rumours that it was possibly due to a fire, but the pits, obviously they can't race with no information in the pit lane, and hello, how you doing, bud? Yeah, basically they were sorry, I thought of me asking me to allow a chat. Yeah, I see you. Look behind you. You're behind me. Yeah, basically there's a power outage in the pit lane for the best part of 2.5 hours while they tried to sort of get all the everything fixed up again, and that was a bit of a shambles, but you know, safety first and all that, make sure everything's safe, and you know, they can actually do the timings. So Sushi, welcome to the chat. How you doing, bud? Whereabouts in the world are you? right behind you in the game. Oh dear. Yes, I am currently power washing to sort of autistic. Oh no. Sorry. Sort of trying to stay within the lines because you know it's how my brain functions. I love this map. It's just really, I find this really relaxing. But I'm playing this whilst watching the Nurburgring 24-hour race on the screen over that way. Could do a flashlight like in spray paint simulator for like little corners like that, so actually like see the little details. Of course, in this game I don't have masking tape. Something I didn't realise I was missing until I played spray paint sim. But the trailer or the gameplay video for Powerwash Simulator 2 is out. Oh, it's so nice. Apart from being able to actually have split screen co-op, it's got like what do you call them? The things that window cleaners sort of use. The little baskets sort of that you take lower and raise to be able to like go up the sides of buildings and things like that. Winches, probably be a good word for it. But yeah, there's some really nice gameplay changes and improvements. I say improvements, I think it might be improvement, it might be the same as before, but it's looking really nice. And the soaps that you can get, the cleaning like liquids, actually seem to do stuff now, because I've never really bothered using them in this game. Largely because, like I say, the actual powers themselves are just usually powers themselves are just so effective that you don't generally need cleaning liquids. I don't know if I think like faffing around to go to a cleaning liquid takes more time than just doing it like this anyway. But I don't need the full precision. Otherwise, I know what's happened to the dash here. I don't know if it's still out there. How close these racing drivers get up behind each other is always amazing to me. They get closer to each other than I would actually do in my own road car. Then again, anyone can drive a very friendly road car, so at least these are like professional racing drivers that they're behind for the most part. But yeah, it's still terrifying how much trust they have in each other, especially given some of the big accidents that that they've been around the circuits. Yeah, Sushi, if you're still there, my message there is basically about me. It's like raising money for the mental health charity in the UK known as Mind, trying to raise some money for them to carry on the good work they do for people with mental health issues. No obligation to sort of make a contribution, but please spread the word if you can. It's a really good cause, and they do help a lot of people who are in pretty dire states and dire conditions. Yeah, basically I'm going to try and go around and clean all the red bits first and move on to a different colour when that objective has been achieved. I may not get through all of this in one go, because doing this with a bit more time consuming on the actual maps than just simply cleaning everything at the same time. But I just find this more enjoyable. Yeah, the pace of the McLaren at the beginning of the race was quite daunting. It seems to have balanced out a little bit now. But overnight, like I say, my boys were absolutely crushing it. To anyone who's like watching any of my streams previously, the issue on playing spray paint simulator that I encountered on the museum, where the gallery level, I see now they've actually, even on Xbox, included now a difficulty slider on that one. So anyone having that problem now on Spray Paint Simulator should be able to fix that quite easily. On my stream I was a little bit frustrated with it, and you can probably tell that I was getting a bit frustrated on there if you've seen that, where certain parts of the wall were literally not wanting to go above 97% complete, and I fixed it by changing sprayers to different sprayer and nozzle. But now there is a difficulty slider on the Xbox, which will enable you to like drop it down so that it requires lower levels of completion. But that's one way around it. Just fixing it down will be another. Yeah, the people who are making like a spray paint simulator are clearly on the ball, trying to sort of make sure the game is functional, easy to use and play. It's good to see. Quite narrow through that little gap there. Quite challenging to not ruin the rest of the line. Yeah, the McLaren car that they're racing against currently, they're competing against, isn't one that's normally part of the NLS series. And they have BOP, I assume it's like balance of power, that probably stands for, where they try to sort of adjust each car in each class across the race to try and make sure that any car has a equal chance of competing and winning. But early on in the race, it was looking like that hadn't sort of particularly been well balanced because it was so much faster. But like I say, it has very much sort of settled back a little bit. Where does the red start there? Where does the red start? It's really hard to see the difference between the red and the yellow on that bit. There, that's the answer. Don't go so Ugh. But yeah, like I say, it's just like a relaxing stream, so I have to pay attention to that as well as this, whilst you know, doing something. Yeah, I turned on the gaming laptop this morning, and of course had to update everything. Xbox app had to be updated, the Epic Gaming Store had to be updated, this game had to be updated, a bunch of other games, because hadn't really broken this out for a while. Pardon me. Yes, I think everything's up to date again. Or everything that I generally use anyway. You're trying to update like weather, Microsoft weather and all that sort of shit. So when do we look at that? Never on this one, especially because it's about the gaming one anyway. But yeah. But is the McLaren actually cheating, or are you all just sour? It's like, no one's sour. No one's saying it's cheating, but it hasn't been balanced properly, or it didn't appear to have been balanced properly for the rest of the thing. But like I say, Jimmer and Co have kind of got on top of it a little bit, but their fastest lap time, that car's fastest lap time, was so much faster than anything else in any of the classes. Mostly, I think there were about 7 cars in the class. Yeah, 7 cars in that class. Most of the cars, their fastest laps were around the 9 minutes 2 and above. I think the fastest one was like at the time like 9 minutes 2, and then every other car was above it, except for the McLaren, which had like an 8 minute 42 second lap, and no other car in the class was even close to that. Now, car 115, Mr. Borden and Co, their fastest lap is 8:47, so they're within 5 seconds of them. And another one of the cars, one of the Supras, has got an 8:53. So there's now 3 cars that are below 9 minute, but nothing that's been quite that fast. But to be fair, like I said, the McLaren hasn't gone faster than that 8:42 in the intervening hours, and overnight they were considerably slower. Whether it's the circuit temperature, the car struggling to get temperature in the tyres, or whether it was just that they had like some of the slower drivers in their team racing overnight, I don't know. You hate to say slower drivers, but like in each team, obviously you're going to have like drivers that are quicker than others. It happens. Yeah, like I say, the big gap that they had earlier in the race, and now scrubbing's like doesn't actually make anything of it. Yeah, I don't think, like I said, the McLaren was in any way cheating, but the people who homologate the cars were the ones in charge of making sure that all the cars are as close to close to each other in terms of performance as possible. But yeah, they were talking about like lots of people were talking in chat last night about down the straight how McLaren was like fast in some of the GP3s. Actually, I don't know if that's a normal thing. There were like certain cars obviously that were really fast on straight, and they were as fast as those were, whereas everyone else in the class were some way off. But Jimmy Broadbent did actually pass him down the power straight. But as I said, that may have been just one of their slower drivers who hadn't come out of the previous corner fast. And he did have a nice slipstream behind him. They literally passed him along the straight right as he was coming to his pits a few seconds later. But yeah, the boys are putting on an epic performance, and I'm pretty sure they are now properly, fully integrated and accepted into the actual racing community there, because as Jimmy himself will admit, he's a sim racing driver, but he's not the fastest sim racing driver. He's not slow, but he's not like esports level. But put him in one of these real cars, and yeah, he's really taken to it, really properly taken to it. Yeah, during the NLS series that they're in, which is entirely around the Nordschleife, but the slightly truncated version of the Nordschleife for what they're doing today. They've been like first and second pretty much every time they go out there. I'm not sure what the actual championship positions are. I need to try and find that out at some point. But they're definitely in contention for like the championship on that. Yeah, those are like usually like shorter races. They did a race recently where the main competitor, I think it's car 187, they found themselves at a bit of a disadvantage to the other cars, because this team's got 4 drivers and the other team had 3 drivers. They, in order for all the drivers to score points, all the drivers had to have like an equal, had a minimum stint of like 3 laps I think it was, something like that, in the car. So they basically had to do an extra pit stop over what the other car was doing in order to actually make sure that all their drivers were going to get championship points towards the championship at the end of the season. Or they could have like dropped one of their drivers, which would have been a bit rough, in order to actually not have to do the extra pit stop. Pit stop, I believe they said, accounts for about 1 minute 30 in time overall on the lap. They finished second by about 1 minute 30, so it's like, ooh, but all the teams got the points towards the championship, which I think is the fairer way of doing it. So just saying, it's like, excuse me, nah, to one of the team, where like 3 of you might stand on the podium at the end of the season saying, yeah, we're champions, and the other one might say, well, I finished second actually. Would have been a bit rough. Right, we can. Oh no, this is sort of okay, we've got a bit further around here, haven't we? And we've got this bit in here to do behind the VW Beetle. One that's obviously been souped up for racing, don't get me wrong, but a VW Beetle nonetheless. Wow. That was they were behind them on a yellow stretch, presumably they were going slow, and this was all that ball wasn't overtaken. reckon that's on your childhood or your younger years. You have my sympathy. What I did. Yeah, this layout of the Nurburgring that they're racing around this weekend, it includes the full Nurburgring GP circuit as well as the full Nordschleife, whereas on a regular weekend in the NOS there'll be like a shortened version of the GP circuit, but it adds quite a bit to lap time going around the longer version, obviously, but it would be, as you'd expect. With maths. I don't know what I wanted. Oh, hay fever this morning. Yeah, it's quite overcast and good outside. But it is still quite humid here, so I've had to put the fan on already. Since I've got like 2 laptops running here at the moment. So I can keep source literally on my lap. Yeah, that's why they call them laptops. Because it's on the app. Comment that someone just posted up there a second ago. I think someone's been in trouble with the speed limit and possibly being removed from the race. What's they're trying to do, depending on how bad the condition was. Yeah, it felt really bad for Steve last year when he had his license taken away, because he basically then had to go back to Nurburgring and redo all the tests to get it back. And like I say, while he admitted, like I say, you know, yeah, it happened, it missed obviously the signal posts. It's absolutely brutal that you know, it was his first Nurburgring, 24 hours. And his team had to go on without him. It was kind of, it wasn't a relief when they didn't win, but it was kind of good that they didn't win without him. But this year the competition has increased significantly, and the overall grid is a lot closer than it was last time out, last season. So if they do win it, they'll have done bloody well. Even if they don't, they have done bloody well, because McLaren seems to be like a monster. Certainly in the hands of a couple of their drivers anyway. Yeah, there's some very specific little spots that it's pedantic about here. I don't mind it being pedantic. Look at these nice crisp borders. It's really satisfying when I see a nice crisp border like that, and really frustrating when it goes over by a little bit like that. I thought it was another code. It's amazing to think that Jimmy Broadbent, love him or hate him, he's an amazing fella, he really is. He's such a nice bloke. And the fact that he's, come through everything in his life to get to this point is incredible, because he's someone who struggles with mental health issues, which I can fully sympathise with, because I do as well. He had a rough upbringing, and his dad committed suicide. His dad his dad had mental health issues as well, which made things difficult. He wasn't there for part of his life, and then obviously took his own life. Jimmy's been through lots of dark patches himself. For the early part of his YouTubing career, if anyone doesn't know, he lived in a shed in his mum's garden. He literally lived in a tiny little shed and was streaming from the shed, and he became known as the shed dweller. To build yourself up, to build a community up on that, to obviously overcome everything like that, and then go on to be a success it's a story that you really should make a film about. I know they've made a film about the Gran Turismo shit. It's like, screw that shit. I'm not interested in someone's playing Gran Turismo and telling a comic. This guy has a real story behind him. I don't know what the actual story of the Gran Turismo film was, don't get me wrong. It maybe it's an equally sort of heartbreaking story of through the childhood or whatever, but this is something that is worthy of a biopic. Maybe it's a few years down the line when he's achieved even more. But every year in the winter, late winter, usually around about November, December time, he does a 24-hour online race, which he runs, or which he runs. He basically started it, and then kind of run by other people largely now as well. But where they have just a silly race, 24-hour race with, again, multi-class cars around Zolder, yes, not Zandvoort, Zolder, and it's all in aid of the charity Mind, which I'm supporting myself here and trying to raise money for, and basically they just have a bunch of random sim people from the community sign up, take on this race, 24-hour race online, and basically people watching can pay to give penalties to cars, all the money goes towards Mine. They can pay to give penalties to other cars. Teams can pay to have penalties to their competitors. Teams can pay to sort of get out of problems when they've been told they got a 10-second stop go for X infringement. They can pay to actually get out of that, and they make so much good money for this, and it's amazing to watch. And every year I try and contribute as much as I can towards that as well. Like I say, what I'm doing here is I'll be trying to sort of, raise some money myself towards the same charity, because like I say, I have a lot of respect for the people at Mind and the excellent work they do. But yeah, like I say, Jimmy is such a decent chap. I mean, like I say, I get that some people can find him irritating or the like, but he's always honest about how he is. He'll own up to stuff that that's gone wrong. Like I say, he doesn't rage quite as much. He used to be quite the angry sort of angry online driver, where he'd get a little bit narky and the like. But he's reined that in a bit. Now he's obviously a dad as well. He's a bit more settled than he used to be. But massive respect to him for all the stuff he tries to do for his community and for the charity, because they helped him quite a lot as well. Come on, you really are being properly pedantic now. Is there another little section that I'm missing? Yeah, under here. There's an ambulance circuit. That's what it looked like a sort of an ambulance-shaped vehicle, a bit like that. Hopefully no one's been seriously hurt. Hopefully it's only precautions is what I mean. Because yeah, it's a big old circuit and it's quite hard to sort of quite hard to get aid around the circuits because it's such a big circuit. This was of course the circuit which almost killed Niki Lauda and did kill many other drivers, the Green Hell. Niki Lauda had his massive fiery accident. Before, well, it was either before or the year I was born, something like that. Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, that was another fantastic comeback story, and that story is told in the film Rush. If anyone's seen that film, James Bond versus Niki Lauda. Come on, man, I'm gonna sort of have a run over like the middle bit, just in case there's like some pixels in the middle bit here that are not registered as being clean. I don't mind going over onto that because that is red, so I'm fine with sort of overlapping a little bit onto that. I honestly can't actually remember what the button is on here to bring up what's it to be done. Oh, yeah, fine. Okay, this game knows I'm on the PC now, so it's being super pedantic. you're being so mean to me, game. Oh. Anything that looks like a bit of a shadow, I'm sort of scripting. It's quite a glare to the trees in here in certain parts of the circuit. Rage mode about to activate. You know what? I'm gonna let that thing later on because that's just silly. to have a look and see if they're in P1 or P2 at the moment. Because, like I say, it's very much back and forth depending on who's pitted either P2 at the moment. Yeah, 9:55 lap time for Jimmo versus 10:04 for the other guy. So maybe, like I say, they got held up more with the yellow flags and the code 60s and the like. I don't follow a lot of endurance racing. I used to love watching Le Mans back in the 90s and so on, but I recognise so few of the drivers these days that it has less impact when someone's doing well, unless there's someone like Alonso there or something like that, you know what I mean? Someone I like, respect, support. Excuse me, sniffing. Much better TV coverage. I don't know if it's just for the N24, but they've normally the Wi-Fi coverage around the circuit is so patchy that when they get towards the carousel and the NLS, normally the picture drops for about 30 seconds, sometimes a little bit more, depending whether there's like a code 60 or whatever around there. But yeah, the internet usually dies to the point where you can't expect to watch any of the onboard cameras. Really stable. Well, it breaks up a little bit, but it's much more stable than it's ever been in my experience. Hooray. Is that red? Is that red? No, it's not. It's not. It isn't. Just, it's not. Right. Blue, yellow, double E, double R. That'd be red though. I'm going to clean the bars because I'm not fussed about them because they're not part of the colour coding. cars are going to need cleaning as well. Going to message Mr. Ranger in a minute and see how his hangout was doing from his birthday party yesterday. So I just heard a bloop bloop, because that's on their stream where things connecting and disconnecting stuff from their laptop. Who is in for the finish? I think I might be. Unless I get like an offer I can't refuse, I'm going to be sort of in the race till the end now. The benefits of not having anything better to do with your time, you know what I mean? All the electronics that are there for all the different teams at the same time. still Jimmy in the car. I'd imagine he would be doing it, obviously. Yeah, having had, you know, a nice ride and all that. See a driver change, but their camera did sort of flicker out a little bit for a minute or two there. If anyone's watching me, I'm really frustrated at how this is I think probably, I'm going to say probably by far my favourite of the maps. Probably one I've redone the most. You can tell from the top right corner how many times I've replayed various maps, and it's quite a bit of cash left over. Considering there's anything else extra really for me to purchase in the game. Okay. Fiddly well. I don't hate doing it, it's a challenge to try and move it without sort of following stuff in the background. Oh, it's a big crash apparently, so I'm saying it's coming up to a major crash now. Yikes. slowed down now. So that's where it was. Is that a car on its roof? Yikes. That camera looks so uncomfortable. I can almost feel it even when I'm playing it on a game. I'm starting with something called sciatica. I can actually almost get like back pain, so just virtually driving around there, let alone actually going around there in real life. Sound on the stream not on the road limiter, but you know, like a speed limiter sort of. I don't know if they've actually got a proper installed limiter for it, or if they've got to do it manually. There's so many accidents out on the circuit now. I suppose possibly actually with the sun coming up now, people maybe trying to push harder again. I wouldn't expect most of these to actually happening overnight rather than in bright sunlight. This class is part of a larger piece. While I was doing it, outside of the track and in the backside. Probably what happened there was probably they hit the wall one side and bounced across the other side. But the yellow flags are to cover where the marshals are able to replace the arm code barrier as well. So that's probably what they're doing on the left, is repairing the arm code. Whilst looking after the driver and the car, they sprung over to the right there. It's also possible there might be two cars that are imagined seeing one of them.
last on the last lap by 4 seconds. 4 seconds. 9:18 versus 9:22. Work on taking pit stops. Gap was back at the start.
were speculating last evening that some sort of change in weather right at the very end, so nothing's decided. Jump. Raw. Right. I can't remember if these are all individuals or all of them together. Individual. Okay. Now I know. Right in front of them. clunk clunk. It's going into the carousel. And then part of the circuit. think I'm going to go and get myself some breakfast and unplug my nose and yeah, probably make myself another cup of tea. So yeah, I'm going to close off this for now. But yeah, thank you to anyone who's choosing to watch. Hope it's not been too boring. Hope it's provided some entertainment for you and a little bit of insight into the Nurburgring 24 for anyone that looks like followed it. But yeah, this is my favourite game, and as you can tell, I like to make my own little mini games in here to actually sort of keep myself amused, entertained, relaxed, and this helps very much helps my frame of mind playing this, doing this sort of stuff. But then like it'll help other people sort of doing the same thing as well, because I love this game and I'm really looking forward to the Powerwash Simulator 2 coming. It says coming late 2025, so probably like winter time, But yeah, thank you for tuning in to watch. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll catch you again soon.